Welcome to this week's edition of Morning Line, the USTA's weekly news magazine. I'm Paul Ramlow. My co-host Allison Conte is on assignment this week in New Jersey, and we'll hear from her a little later in the show. Meanwhile, with the Hambletonian just a little more than a week away, Pinkman continues to be the early favorite for the $1 million race. This past Sunday, Pinkman and driver Yannick Gingras found room up the inside to strike late from a pocket trip in the $370,000 Zweig Memorial for 3-year-old trotting colts and geldings at Vernon Downs. Last year's Dan Patch Award winner for 2-year-old trotting colts, Pinkman found room up the inside, passing Kanipa Hanover in the final 16th. He prevailed by 3/4 of a length in 1:52, a stakes record. Kanipa Hanover held second, while Workout Wonder rallied late to take third. Pinkman stretched his career bankroll to $1.18 million for Christina Tactor, John Fielding, Jim Fielding, Joyce McClelland, and Herb Liverman. Joining Pinkman in the chase for Hambletonian glory will be Mission Brief, the 2014 Dan Patch Award 2-year-old trotting filly champion. In the $185,000 Zweig for 3-year-old trotting fillies, Gingras settled Mission Brief into the third spot out of her mid-pack post, tracking Wild Honey and Magic Marker. Just as Wild Honey slackened through a 56 1/2 mile, Mission Brief charged past, opening up her lead to 2 lengths on the far turn. The daughter of Muscle Hill and Southwind Serena would hold that margin through a 55 3 final half, defeating Wild Honey in 1:51 4. Magic Marker stayed on to be third. Ron Burke trains Mission Brief for the Burke Racing Stable, our Horse Scent Stables, the J&T Silva Stables, and Weaver Bressemi. Now a 12-time winner, Mission Brief has amassed $791,000 in career earnings.
She finally looked like the Mission Brief that we know and love from last year. Got to be her best performance of the season, right?
Oh, by far. Last week she was pretty good. She was 80, 90%, but I think today she was 100%. That's a Mission Brief, like you said, that was there last year, and she absolutely jogged, and never a moment in a race where I thought I'd lose her. She was smooth as silk.
Dudes the Man, who finished a fast-closing third in his elimination, has been installed as the 5-2 early favorite and will leave from post 2 with Corey Callahan in Saturday's $400,000 final of the Delvin Miller Adios Pace for the Orchids, presented by Coors Light at the Meadows. A trio of eliminations were held this past Saturday at the Meadows. Dismissed at 35 1 odds, Cooperstown rallied wide and strong in the lane and became the most improbable of the winners. National Sealster and My Hero Ron, both favorites, captured the other eliminations. Cooperstown blazed the back half in 54 1 and scored in 149 4, defeating Lost for Words by a neck. Dudes the Man rallied from last for show. Burke Racing Stable, Weaver Bressemi, Keith Pippy, and Michelle Yannick campaigned Cooperstown, a son of 4-star Shark, American Charm. National Sealster repelled the stern first-over challenge of Rufo and triumphed in 151 1 in his elimination, 3/4 of a length better than longshot Angelo J. Fra. Dreams Beach Boy completed the ticket. Chris Ryder conditions National Sealster for Robert Mondillo and Upas Farm. My Hero Ron took command early, put away his well-intended stablemate Yankee Bounty, and downed him by 1 1/2 lengths in 150 3 in the other elimination, with trading up third. It was the third straight win for the gelding since his private acquisition by Burke Racing Stable, Weaver Bressemi, Larry Carr, and Frank Baldacchino. Well, as I mentioned earlier, my co-host Allison Conte was out on the East Coast this past week at the Harness Horse Youth Foundation Summer Camp. Hey Allison, give us an idea of what went on this past week.
Thanks, Paul. While out here on the East Coast, I got a chance to spend some time with the HHYF students up in Goshen for the leadership camp. Some of them had no horse background at all before participating in HHYF, but they've definitely learned to love the sport.
And I got involved with HHYF because I was reading the Menland program one day and I saw the ad, so then I applied and I got in, and then came to the camp. It seemed more interesting. It seemed like there was more equipment, and there is, and there's a lot more strategy to it than thoroughbreds, I think.
I really love that coming back. I can throw on a harness and it's no big deal because you think you forget, but you don't. because it becomes ingrained in your head. So that's kind of cool.
How do you see yourself staying involved, like as you get older?
Well, I want to be a vet, so all this horse experience and just animal experience in general is really nice. Even though I'm not super into driving or anything, I love watching and I love going to different tracks, and just HHYF in general as a system that I can rely on and as a foundation. They're just so inspiring.
I knew how to run a standardbred anywhere, like with the transportation, and then how to actually get it set up so we can trot and pace on the racetrack.
Probably like the actual harnessing and driving of the horses. I love just being around horses. I don't even need to be doing anything with them to be happy with them. But I really like the hands-on, like with the harness and like actually moving around with them. So.
It's different than thoroughbred racing, really, because here you can't be parked the whole mile, as in thoroughbred racing, like 4 deep, the whole race. And so I kind of like this style of racing a little better.
And this week, instead of a tweet of the week, I'm going to ask you guys to check out a couple of pages on Facebook. If you've ever considered horse ownership but thought it's too expensive or too much of a hassle, fractional ownership might be for you. There's currently 3 stables going: Summer Slam stable at the Meadows, Horseplay Racing stable at Scioto Downs, and the Bucket List Racing stable at Running Aces. You can get in on a horse for just a few $100s and enjoy an entire summer of fun, no hassle, no licensing, no fees. And also would like you guys to check out the Hambletonian mini site brought to you by the Harness Racing Fan Zone for all the latest news from the biggest contenders and their connections.
In this week's edition of Paul's Paddock Picks, I'll take a look at the Adios. Dude's the Man, the runner-up to Wiggle It Jiggle It 2 weeks ago in the Meadowlands Pace, is the morning line favorite and is also my choice for the Meadows race. He has the 2-hole, by far the best post of my contenders, and has the driving services of Corey Callahan. Look for him in the winner's circle following the race. Lost for Words is my pick for place. A winner of 4 straight to start out his 3-year-old season, he'll be looking to get back on the winning track for trainer Brian Brown and driver David Miller. Lost for Words was second in his Adios elimination, a neck behind Cooperstown. For show, I am going with My Hero Ron. He is on a roll since moving to the Ron Burke stable, but must deal with post position 7, just outside of Lost for Words. Yannick Gingras gets the call on the bike. So in the Delvin Miller Adios, I'm going with Dude's the Man to win, Lost for Words to place, and My Hero Ron to show.
And this week's Sound Off on Social question should come as no surprise to anybody who does not live under a rock. In just over a week, Yannick Gingras is going to have $1 million decision to make. Does he go with the safe and steady Pinkman, or the possibility of legendary history-making Mission Brief in the Hambletonian? I'd like to know, if you were Yannick Gingras, what would you do?
That'll do it for this week's edition of Morning Line. Thanks for joining us, and tune in next week for all your behind-the-scenes harness racing action, including a preview of the Hambletonian. For Allison Conte, I'm Paul Ramlow. We'll see you next week on the Morning Line.